what's up, guys? This is Hadim, and this is Check Out the Check. I'm here with my man Herm.
How you doing, world?
Listen, guys, we try to talk to people from all walks of life, man. I used to work with my man here. We will always be talking about, real estate and getting into it. And, he left the job that we were both at, and he decided to get into wholesaling a little bit afterwards. So I definitely want to have him on the channel and just break down a couple of things that, that he learned through his journey to kind of help you guys out in the future. So, Herm, man, just tell us a little bit about yourself. We can kind of go from there.
Yeah, I'm Herm. I live in DC currently. Clearly, we work together. Almost 2 years, I think. Yeah, and then I left, and every time at the job, we always had conversations about things we could do outside of this, right? To not really only to supplement our income, but more so change the family tree, so to speak.
Oh, cool. That's a big thing I'm hearing about the channel. So.
Change the family tree, so we bounce ideas off each other. But one thing that obviously you saw really stuck with me was real estate. Right? That's really something that I always read about, right? Showed you articles about, showed you little things that I was working on, but that was always something that really intrigued me. And the reason why I think it was so intriguing is as I was playing, because I used to play professional basketball, and as my career was winding down, I was thinking about obviously what I want to do next. And I remember, I think it was my second year or third year playing overseas. I don't know how, but I remember I asked my brother's wife, my sister-in-law, about real estate, and she was like, "Yeah, well, I mean, you can do it part-time."
Was she already in real estate?
She wasn't.
Okay.
But because I think we was running errands. I think we just talking. Exactly.
Right.
And for some reason, I just started asking a little question about real estate, and she was like, "Yeah, some people do it on the side. Some people do it obviously full time, get the license, blah blah." But it was more so on the realtor side. That conversation was some reason that stuck with me, and then it kind of, I guess, I circled back with it when I officially retired.
Hung up the Jordans.
Yeah, hung up the Jordans or the LeBrons, right? And then I circled back to it, and for some reason, I was almost like infatuated with it, for the simple fact that I was always looking for a way to get my hands on a bigger asset that I can flip. And I think real estate was something that really drew me towards that, because I thought it was a way for me to do that with relatively a low barrier entry, right? So I think a big misconception about real estate is, which I didn't know myself either until I did like my research. I read about it all day, all night. And I really
you're an avid reader, I think a lot of people.
Yeah, of course. I went to GW, shout out to GW, Colonials, go Colonials. Went there all 4 years. Graduated from the business school, so business was always a thing for me.
Okay.
I think.
So you studied business while you was in school?
Yeah. I did both. I went to the business school and played basketball all 4 years. So business was always something that
was you.
Yeah,
right.
It was always something that really stuck with me, and I would watch, I don't know, CNBC and things of that nature, right? Like my dad would obviously watch it, and I'll just sit with him and watch it. Or my older brother, he's a business guy as well. So I was always kind of around it. That always like intrigued me, just to make money, right? But on a deeper level, just like create something that I could put my name behind and possibly pass on. That's really, I think, the main driver for me.
Right. Just because you can work at your job, but you can't necessarily give your son that job.
Right. Which again, it's not a bad thing, right? Having a job. That's I want to make that clear, but I think it is important for you to create something that is number one yours, and that you can pass on. So that particular generation doesn't start behind the 8 ball, right? You want to start the race at the start line,
right?
Not like 10 feet behind,
right?
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So that's really my whole job behind it.
Okay. So basically, you found yourself interested in real estate. You studied it and things like that. I guess when you talk about real estate, there's a lot of different avenues of it.
So many avenues, yeah.
One, if you could explain just some of the different type of avenues and then what made you choose your particular one, that would be nice.
That's a very good question. So I guess when I first really started getting into it,
because the only reason I say that because a lot of people when they hear real estate, they think, okay, you know, like monopoly, like you buy a house or
realtor, yeah. I mean,
or get into
and
real
to be honest with
estate.
you, I think that's like again the first avenue that I explored when I go back to the conversation I had with Lynn, that's my brother's wife. When I asked her a little question, it was more so, you know, selling real estate on the retail side.
Right.
But I did my research again, and initially I was infatuated by just flipping homes, right? Because
that's the second thing. That's the thing. That's
no,
that's the thing you see on the HGTV.
Exactly. And the thing is, it really, I guess I was drawn to the fact that I can take something that looks really ugly and turn it around and make it look really, really cool, like really nice, right? So that was something that I was really drawn towards.
You could look back at it and say you added something to it.
Right. But as it was going down that journey, I discovered that most of the investors, right, who find those particular deals, get those deals from people they call wholesalers.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So a wholesaler would actually email me deals that I was looking at the time, whether I was where I was still deciding whether I wanted to pursue those deals to flip them. And they kept sending me these deals, and I'm like, okay, well, and I asked them a little question as well. I mean, how much is it in marketing? And most of the answers would be, you know, minimum investments, right? Some say, well, I came across this property just driving around, or I don't know, passing out flyers, whatever the channel of marketing was. But the point is, those wholesalers, they find those deals and pass them to investors.
Right.
So when I started looking into it, I was like, you know, I know I can do this.
Right.
Because you don't really have to be like that smart, obviously. You don't need a whole lot of money to do that. And that's what I was telling earlier. The barrier of entry is super low, right? To get into this game,
the barrier entry just basically means you going from like zero and how soon you can basically get into that field.
Exactly,
right?
Yeah, it's super low. So I was like, well, let me look into that. All right. So I bought this book. I think it's called "If You Can Wholesale After This." I don't know what to say. I think it's called "If You Can Wholesale After This."
Okay.
I gotta get back to the author, but I read it, and it really broke down what to do and how to find deals, how to structure deals from a legal standpoint, what to do, and contracts and this and that. So when I read that book, I was like, okay, I think this is what
it made the most sense to you.
Yeah, like if I really want to keep pursuing real estate, initially I think that's the route I want to take.
To get your foot in the door.
To get my foot in the door, but more importantly, to get myself to a point where I have enough capital to do the next of the things that I actually want to do in real estate.
Right. And you know, and that's kind of cool that you said that because real estate is one of those avenues that it builds on itself. So it's just like if you start out doing wholesaling, then you can graduate to flipping, then you can graduate to being a landlord, even branching off at that point to probably even property management. So that's one of the cool things that I do like about real estate, to where it's just like it builds upon itself.
It's versatile,
and the whole time you're probably even getting knowledge. So it's just like now when you're buying deals, you have an idea as a wholesaler what it would cost more, you know, in that area. But so that's awesome. So for my people that's looking, that's watching, explain what wholesaling is.
That's a really good question, and I always say, and I firmly believe that I think if you look at the world, right, some of the people who are the most wealthy, the wealthiest people, rich, whatever we want to label those people, most of them are middlemen, if you think about it. So, for example, let's say Jeff Bezos, for example, right? Obviously Amazon, huge conglomerate, right? But essentially it is a really big logistics company,
If you really think about it.
You see what I'm saying? So
sure. Most of I think I even read somewhere that most of the products they sell not even theirs. Like
it has no inventory.
Mm-hmm.
Right, he doesn't own the Apple Watch. He doesn't own the LeBron, so you can buy the Amazon or that book or that cup. Right, he doesn't.
The phone covers.
Yeah, so
little stuff you buy.
None of the inventory is his. Right, all he does is
create a platform for you to access it.
If you want to sell something, he puts it on his platform and I buy it, and he charges me on you. Right. So it's the same concept. Right, you find a property. That you can buy cheap enough that after you repair the property, the end buyer still can make money on it.
Right.
So to just give you a tangible example, let's say you find a property for, I don't know, $30,000. Right? Yeah. You find a property for $30,000 and the after repair value, or what they refer to also as ARV, right? So what the property is worth after you repair it.
So the price you see on Zillow.
Yeah, yes, technically,
yeah,
exactly.
For your family or something.
Exactly, yeah. So basically, what you can buy the property for after you fix it is called the ARV.
Gotcha.
And it's most of the time it's determined obviously by comps. So by comparable properties in the immediate area. Find a property for $30,000. Let's say if you put $20,000 in it, you can sell it for $80,000.
Gotcha.
Now, what a wholesale will do is you approach the owner, try to get under contract for, let's say, $25,000, and then you assign a particular contract.
So if they know it's worth that much after repair, why would they sell you the property?
That's a very good question, and it could be various reasons.
Okay.
Right. So one reason could be, for example, they inherited the property and they don't even know it. Right, probate. Or they are in a pinch because of tax reasons. That happens all the time, where you have to pay taxes within a certain time frame, or they come just take your house. So there's some kind of distress in that particular situation where they would take.
Well, it would benefit for them to take less money.
Less money, yeah, and just walk away.
So you're in a sense helping them.
Yeah, exactly.
And helping, I guess, the investors.
Yeah, exactly. So everybody wins. So that's really, I mean, that's just how I was raised, right? I want everybody who's associated with me personally, in my company, right, what we do, to, I want everybody to win.
Right. You walk away feeling like it's a good deal.
And it's a good deal, but for everybody involved, not only for us, but for the owner, for the end buyer, you, right? I want everybody to be happy.
Gotcha.
So
you found the house, it's in a situation where you can help them out by offering them, just a straight up money.
Cash, yeah. And
you're basically finding it for an investor.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Or for myself.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so if I find a property that just makes sense, obviously I'll buy it myself and then take you through the whole process, fixing it.
Right. So you can either sell it yourself or you can sell it.
Yeah. So there's really three options, and the reason why I think it gives an wholesale an edge is
because you had the option at that
first dibs,
right
on a particular asset. I can obviously put a tenant in it and rent it if it makes sense. I can acquire it, fix it, and then flip it, or I can sell it to another investor.
Gotcha.
Right, transfer rights to another investor.
So it gives you a lot of just different options.
Different options, absolutely.
Right. Versus if you were to buy it, now you have to sell it.
Exactly.
You'd be on the hook for the money.
Exactly.
Makes a lot of sense. All right. So, Herm, when we talk about wholesaling, how long have you been at it?
So, I wasn't really consistent about it, to be honest with you. But I remember actually this past April 1st, excuse me, April, pretty much at the height of the pandemic. I was like, you know what, I have nothing to lose, right? Obviously, the world's in shambles right now,
Right.
You know what I mean? So, I might as well try to find a way to make money. So, April 1st, 2020 is when I officially was like, okay, I'm gonna just be consistent about it, right? Consistent, persistent action. That's
one thing I see about the channel. There's always like like wanting to do something,
Yeah.
and kind of, you know, 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
Yeah.
And then there's always like a moment.
And I'm gonna be honest with
where-
you, I was serious about it. I was serious, but I wasn't consistent.
Right, right.
And I think the consistent portion is what really, whatever you want to do,
Mhm.
like if you're just consistent, it will happen.
Mhm.
Like you know that
What
about
do you
it.
think changed? Like just everybody being down or something?
Everybody being down, everybody being at home. I'm just at home, right, quarantining, and I was like, you know what? I might as well just use this time to my advantage and just do something anyway,
Mhm.
right? So that's when I officially started.
Mhm.
And I mean, how I got started, I got a list of properties. I skip traced the list.
So what's that?
So what I did was I went on this platform called List Source.
Okay.
Like
So you
listsource.com.
can like Google it.
You can Google it, you can go to listsource.com, and you can pull a list of properties, right? On that platform,
Mhm.
you can search for properties based on various different factors.
Okay.
So you can look for properties that are going through foreclosure. You can go look for properties who have a lot of equity in it, who have not a lot of equity in it. So
So these are the type of things you're looking for when you're hosting.
right,
Okay.
yeah, exactly. So the first line of properties that I look at is for properties that have a lot of equity in it, and that are basically that I call it traded, so that was sold within a certain time frame.
Okay.
So those are the properties that I was looking at.
Mhm.
And then I pulled that list, I skip traced that list, meaning that I went on another platform. For example, I don't know, you can go to baskettrace.com, for example.
Mhm.
There's a few
So you
different,
take the list from the first site, which was
listsource.com.
listsource.com, all right, and then you go and you skip trace.
I skip
those
traced
properties.
it. Yeah, those properties, meaning that I got the numbers
Mhm.
and I just started calling them.
Okay.
Right? And obviously, clearly, you know, doing what we used to do, right? In the car business.
I know.
And I'm so numb to it at this point.
Right.
Right? So that part never bothered me, like jumping on the phone and calling people, because I just know for a fact that if you call enough people, you will get somebody to say yes.
Right.
That's all you need, that one yes, and
Right.
that's what happens to me.
Mhm.
Right? So once you get the first yes, obviously you want to close on that deal, and then you take that money, then reinvest, and then that's how you
Grow.
slowly scale your business. Right? And I think to just circle all the way back to your initial question, one of the reasons why I wanted to get into real estate is I was always looking for something that's sustainable and scalable. Right? You always, I think, if you want to start something, you want to start something that's sustainable over a long period of time. and
So sustainable
scalable.
meaning everyone has to live somewhere.
Right.
Right.
Or everybody has to eat a particular thing,
Mhm.
or everybody has to go to a certain place.
Mhm.
So something that's sustainable over a long period of time,
Mhm.
not just a high flash in the pan,
Mhm.
and scalable.
Right. Meaning
Right.
that you grow it.
You
from
grow it.
business on business on business.
From $0 to 500,000, 10,000, right? So
What would you do your first wholesale deal?
I made, I think 4,000 my first one.
Gotcha.
And then turned right back around, made I think 5,000 on my second one.
So basically using the same strategy that you just
Same strategy
outlined,
as outlined.
and basically you was able to kind of get into a situation where you talk to them,
Yeah.
got them to agree to a
Yeah.
contract,
Help them out, yeah, getting rid of the property, obviously.
Mhm.
Give them a fair price,
Mhm.
and then help out my investors, and then again, everybody's happy,
Mhm.
right? But obviously and I want to be transparent.
Right.
That's not something obviously that you want to do for the rest of your life. I think that is more so a really great way to get into the real estate game.
Mhm.
And then, because my end game for me,
Mhm.
my end goal is I really want to own about 500 units. I think that's the goal I've set.
Okay.
All right, so 500 doors, I think that's what I want to own
Mhm.
within a certain time frame.
So you
And-
think that this, everything you're doing now is kind of building
It's
towards
leading
that.
up to that. Yeah,
Right.
it's leading up to that.
Mhm.
Building those relationships, and at the same time, building that.
That knowledge, really.
And not only that knowledge, but really just building that capital in order to position myself to start moving towards the direction of landlord landlordship, right? Being a landlord, owning, several hundred units. That's really that's the end goal.
We talked about, basically what brought you to this moment and things like that. Where do you see yourself taking this? Like you talked about using it to kind of stepping stone. What is your actual plan to take this wholesale venture you got going?
Honestly, I was definitely scared. So I need to scale it to the point where I see a certain number of revenue come in every year. And then obviously the immediate next step is to get into landlordship, owning properties.
Okay.
But I go back and forth about it, to be honest with you. And I've decided that I think I want to jump right into multifamily.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah, jump right into multifamily. Utilizing creative ways to finance these deals to own more.
And that's cool you bring that up. So a lot of people don't know. I mean, there's a lot of ways that you can finance a deal.
Oh my God, yeah, absolutely.
Do you have any type of examples you want to throw out there for my guys?
I mean, the immediate strategy that I can think of is owner finance. All right, having the owner of that particular asset, if you own, let's say, 20 units, carry. They call it wholesale paper, right? Carry the mortgage, and you just pay the owner every month.
So instead of going to a bank, you just say, "Hey, look, I'm gonna just pay you payments."
Exactly.
So that owns
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So that way, you don't have to go through the whole cycle.
I mean, is that really realistic? Like, do you think that there's owners out there that?
They are.
Okay.
You'd be surprised. I mean, obviously, you really have to find those deals, right? You really have to look for them, but there are deals out there like that that you can get owner finance. I mean, there are so many creative ways that I can even think of. You can utilize in order to
acquire that type of property.
Okay. Get into those deals. Add some cash flow.
So basically, you're saying, I mean, you have your own strategy that you're going about, but there's a lot of things that you can kind of do. And if you didn't want to go that multi-family route, you could probably even do like a residential.
Yeah, I mean, you can just start real small, right? Because it really doesn't take a whole lot of money to get into becoming a landlord. Obviously, we live in the DC area, so if you look at Baltimore, you can acquire property that's cheap as $50,000, $45,000, and you put a tenant in it, rent it for maybe like $1,000, and you can get $500 a month of cash flow. So that math, right? If you figure $500 times 12, that's your
6 bands.
Yeah, that's your monthly cash flow right there. So, and how you have to think about it is on a $45,000 property, if you have to put down what 25% in most cases, maybe 20%. So that'll be what, like 10,000, maybe around that.
Yeah, around just under 10. Probably
Yeah. So if you get 500 a month cash flow in the year, that's 6,000, and you already put 10 down, you got your money back in a year and a half. So that's how you really have to think about it. You don't necessarily evaluate your rental property based on the cash flow and what the actual property costs, just on the cash flow which you actually put down. How much money you have in.
So a lot of people look at those prices online like $100,000, and they kind of go off that when they budget in. But it's like, hey, look, if it costs you only, 3.5% to own it.
Yeah.
Really, to get your money back, you only need about a couple months of cash flow.
Just like that, right?
But you control that $100,000 asset.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So it seems like real estate more about control than actually fronting the money.
Yeah, it's control, but it's also leverage, right? Like you said, being able to control a rather expensive asset for relatively. You should say 3.5%, right? In some instances, I use 20%. Just,
but that's for the business.
Yeah, right. So, but you can control big assets with relatively small amount of money. So I think that's the goal, and I really think that for me, long term, that's definitely.
So at that point, once you become a landlord, then it's just basically like doing that again and again and again.
Pretty much, yeah. And again, my goal I've set for myself is 500 units. So I think that is that is what I want to own, and then be able to like pass off to whoever I want to pass off to, and just a major in the family. But 5 years, I think is a number.
Based on your experience, do you think that anybody can wholesale?
Hell yeah, absolutely. Literally anybody can do it. If you are consistent, if you have a little grit, if you don't know just live the sales, if you know how to talk to people, you can wholesale properties. Absolutely. Any and everybody can do it. Any man, woman, whoever, anybody can do it.
Because you had mentioned when you had started out, like you had, you had, your way about going about it, and you see so many things online. But I guess it's not really what you invest in, it's more about putting that effort in, putting that work and consistency.
Yeah, and again, there are so many different ways that even cost less money than when I initially invested to find those particular deals, right? Because I mean, again, I started with roughly less than $300. Now, if you are bored, right, you can jump in your car and drive around. Call a driver for dollars. You can drive around, find old properties, write them down.
What are you looking for when you're looking at those properties?
The standard tall grass, dilapidated. Maybe if there's a notice in the window. If it looks vacant. But those are probably like some of the
in general, just like distressed properties.
Distressed properties. Yeah,
those are like your highest yielding.
I mean, the higher probability of the owner wanting to sell a particular property is probably with those particular assets. But then you can go, I guess, a level deeper. You go to your county or you go to the property assessment department, and you pull properties who are delinquent on their taxes. And then you start contacting these people.
So a lot of people don't know, I mean, you have people, so even if your house is paid off, you have to pay taxes every year on your property.
Absolutely, yeah.
So those people that get behind, they could lose that whole asset based off of not paying those taxes.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
Or people who have fines on their properties, right, for various reasons. Some people might not even know that they have fines on their properties, and obviously that, with every fine, it goes up, right? And at some point, they come knock on your door and you pay the fine, or we'll take your property. So those are some of the.
I'm sure some people, like, I've heard of some stuff like repair liens or like contractors putting liens on properties. Is that something you can search too? Or?
Probably, but I mean, like the first three avenues I described, again, it's low barrier. You don't really have to put like a lot of money into it to get that data, and then to pursue those properties, those property owners. Again, driving for dollars, tax delinquency, fines, owners who have fines on their properties. Probably the highest probability of you being able to actually do a wholesale deal, and then just keep scaling from there.
So doing a wholesaling deal, you call them up, you say, hey, look, I want to buy your property and things like that. I mean, what's the next step? Are you scheduling like some time to meet with them? Or?
Yeah, it depends. Depends on the information that is disclosed over the phone.
Okay.
In some instances, I do well and I actually want to check out the property. Sometimes I request certain pictures, and I can sort of paint a financial picture of the property based on the picture that they sent me and the information that they gave me. But more than likely, I would want to confirm certain things that they said over the phone in person and actually go there and look at the asset.
So confirming means they're describing the property, you want to make sure that, hey, look, it is 5 bedrooms.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
Exactly, number of certain bedrooms, bathrooms, stuff like that.
And then that way you can kind of run comps and stuff and kind of figure out where they need to be
exactly.
at.
Bingo, yeah, that's the main thing. Because at the end of the day,
how would you run comps? Are you going through like a realtor, or are you going through?
So, starting out, what you can do is you can go on Zillow. You can go on Zillow and find similar properties with the same amount of bedrooms, same amount of bathrooms that's sold within that same vicinity, in a similar time frame, and look what those properties sold for. Now
So that's how you get that after
the repair value, yeah. But I mean, there are platforms such as Privy.com. That's PRIVY.com, where you can go, you can sign up, and then you can get an actual, it's called a CMA, comparative market analysis, done for a property that you are looking to do a deal on. You plug the property in, the address, and it spits out a bunch of data.
Gotcha. So you're using all that. You're kind of like arming yourself to when you do go to that person, you kind of have a good idea, like, hey,
Exactly.
it's a number plate to give you. This is why.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I pretty much have an idea in my head where I need to be based on the repairs that particular property needs in order to make the deal work. In order to get the deal done.
Gotcha. How do you get an understanding of the actual repairs? Like, do you work with contractors, or just like
So what you can do? So what you can do is obviously as you gain experience, what I'll probably suggest is grabbing a contractor for your first 2 properties. Maybe paying $20-$30
to show up and kind of give you an idea.
Give me an idea like what needs to be done and how much it would cost in order to repair the asset.
Gotcha.
So you get a feel for okay, a property this size needs X amount of dollars of work. Property size.
So next time around, at least you have that reference.
Exactly, yeah. And then you just want to factor in, plus minus 10% buffer.
What can the average wholesaler expect to make on a deal?
Could be anything. Could be anything between $2,500, $5,000 to people wholesaling deals, 100K wholesale fees, 20,000. It really just depends. Like, literally sky's the limit, it's really no limitation as to what you can make. It's just what you negotiate, right? So that's I think that's really how I could put it.
For these contracts that you're writing up, is it like stuff that you already, the templates that you already have?
So the one I currently use, another wholesaler who's like very experienced. He's been in it for a very long time. I've befriended. That's one. He gave me the particular contract that I use. But I mean, you can have an attorney
Draft you up.
Draft them up. It's fairly inexpensive.
And basically, I guess it's just like a contract with like a bunch of blank lines and put their name in. And
Name, obviously, then your name, buyer name, property address, contingencies, and things like that. But
So walk me through like when the actual deal day. I mean, is it a situation where everybody shows up at the title office, or?
So I mean, especially now with COVID-19, most of the stuff is done mail, online, but honestly, the title company handles most of it. The title company, once all the contracts are submitted to the title company, they coordinate everything with the sellers buyer.
So I didn't want to, a lot of people might get intimidated by messing up certain things, but mainly the title company there to kind of just crank it all out.
Exactly, yeah. And most times the title company will lead you
to where you need to kind of.
Exactly.
But they want to get done too.
Yeah, exactly. What's missing? Like how we do this or how we do that. So that's how the whole picture comes together and get the deal done.
So Herm, man, when you first started out, what are some challenges that you think you faced?
Honestly, I think there's no such thing as. Yes, there are challenges, but there's more so like a lack of knowledge. To be honest with you. Just getting the knowledge. Knowing what to do, where to go, what to say, certain instances. Those are probably like some of my first challenges. But I really believe that if you just consistent and persistent action, you will get to your destination. No doubt in my mind. You know what I mean? I just found out for myself. I think that's really just the main thing that it differentiates a person from achieving his or her goal. Not horrible. It's not that
insurmountable obstacles. It's more so about just
I guess my point is that obviously I'm not smarter than you. I'm not. I don't know. I can't even think of things that I can compare it to, but I'm also saying that whatever obstacles that you might face on this particular journey, you just have to plow through it, right? You just have to plow through it and just keep applying consistent and persistent action, and you will get to your destination. No doubt in my mind. And I also believe that you should rather set yourself a higher bar, right? If you set dream goals, right? If you fall, at least you land amongst the stars, right? So I think those are two principles I think you definitely want to apply.
What do you think keeps the average person from succeeding?
That's a very good question. I think that it's probably like a fear, right? Like a fear of either certain people telling you, judging you, right? Basically, you wanted to try something and you failing, so people telling you, okay, well, exactly that situation. Some people are just not used to taking risks. I'm the type of person. If you're not on the plane, right? And I want to be honest, I think you are more of a risk taker than I am.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Just me knowing you, not saying that,
right. But I feel like I'm already like a person who likes to take risks. So if you like to take more risks than I am, then right, there's another person who like to take more risks than you.
Of course.
So, but my point is, if you and I are on a plane, right, and there are parachutes everywhere, I'm the type of person, I'll jump up the plane, but I'll grab a parachute and just read through the instructions real quick and jump, right? I think you most of the person.
So my back, I'm already out there.
Yeah, right. You gonna jump, you can figure out a way down on the ground.
Right.
So it's different factors of people who are want to.
So it's about like knowing your risk.
Yeah, I think it's taking risks, but
is it knowing yourself?
I think it's a combination of everything, right? Taking calculated risks, knowing myself. I know I can probably tolerate not as much as you can, but at some point, if you want to pursue something, you have to be able to take just a little bit of risk, right? Because at the end of the day, I think that there's no such thing as failing. If what you try to accomplish hasn't worked the way you try to get to, you just have to try another way, right? It's not really failing, it's more so the way you try to do it hasn't worked. You know what I mean? I think that's
kind of like what you were kind of talking about before. It's like, I don't care how many no's I hear, it's just when I hear that yes, it makes it all work.
Yeah. So it's really what I'm saying is when you pursue a goal, I don't think there's such thing as failure. It's more so, okay, I tried a way that didn't work, let me try another way, right? It's excuse me, it's more so change your perspective about the pursuit of that particular goal.
So I thought I needed to do it this way,
right?
But then I learned I can do it this way,
right?
Type situation.
Yeah. So really, my point is, if you try to pursue something and it didn't quite work, don't look at it as that you failed, right? You should more so look at it as you tried it this way and it didn't work. You see what I'm saying? Because if you apply that perspective to that particular journey, it puts a much better energy behind it that propels you to
finally get to that.
Get to across the finish line.
That makes sense. No, I definitely, when you talk about just, a lot of times, people feel like if you're not risk adverse or if you are super into like just taking risks, that's the only way to get it. But it's just like, hey, look, you cannot be into it. But you just gotta find a way that works for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just like you have to get to the point where you are comfortable to take that risk. So if it's like reading more about it, or if it's about waiting till I get enough money, at least know what you need to get, and then once you get it, then do it.
Honestly, at the end of the day, I think it's just really increasing your knowledge base that can really eliminate a lot of those doubts, a lot of those low fears, a lot of those obstacles that you might come across. And again, I like to take risks, right? But probably not as much as you maybe, or you not as much as the next person. But I think that's an important part. And I do believe that fortune favors the bold. Right? I do believe that.
When you quit, I think it took a bold person to be like, you know, I'm making decent money here. I got a girl, I got a rent and all that stuff. So, and I think you turned out better for it. So, I mean, I think there is some truth to that.
See, the thing, and again, it goes back to a point that I think if you know yourself, if you know your capabilities, if you put yourself out of a comfortable situation, which I was at the time I was,
For sure.
into new territory, if you approach it with confidence, if you approach it with I have nothing to lose mentality, which you really don't, fortune, I think, always favors the bold. Because I think that energy behind that particular decision, I really believe that it propels you to greater passions. I think I really believe that.
If you can go back in time a year ago and tell yourself something, what would you tell yourself?
Consistent, persistent action. Yeah, whatever it is that you really want to pursue, if you put even if it's, I don't know, 20 minutes a day, if you just put consistent and persistent action behind it, I promise you it will happen. It will work 100%.
Awesome. Well, that's about all I can think of on the subject, man. I definitely want you guys to be able to, you know, come to the channel. You learn new stuff. You meet different people in different walks of life, and you know, we all grow together from it. Definitely like and subscribe. Check out this check. This one, man, Herm. Definitely, Herm. Shout out all the information you want about it.
Oh yeah, if you obviously you want to sell a property, go on Facebook, the OREI Group LLC. You can find me on Facebook, or you can just call me 240-257-2250.
The real number.
Yeah, that is 240-257-2250. Call or text me if you want to sell a property.
And we'll put the link in the description, so all the information that we can contact them on, we'll definitely have it there. And I appreciate you coming out.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's been all love,
Brother
man.
Hadim.
And definitely check out the check. Definitely see you guys next week.
If I can do it, you can definitely do it.
That's the name of the game.